Hi, I want to welcome everyone to today's Arizona State University Master of Computer Science admission webinar. My name's Diana Sunshine and I'm on the Coursera team. The first thing I'd like to do is get everyone acquainted to the Zoom interface that we have today. If you take your mouse and you scroll to the bottom, you should be able to see a chat script. And if you open up your chat window, it'd be great if you would start typing where you're from. And usually we can see that people are from all over the world. And let's see if anyone starts typing. Oh, there we go. Columbus, Ohio, Mesa, Arizona, Qatar, Texas, San Francisco. This is great. Oh, India. So this is wonderful. This is going to give you an example of what it's like to be in a global classroom from Arizona State University. The second thing I'd like you to do is to look at the Q&A at the bottom. That is a place where it's best to put your questions. If you put the questions into the chat, it becomes a little bit hard for us to find it, but if you put the questions into the Q&A, then when we get to the question and answer session, we will be able to answer each of the questions as they come up. So for today, I'd like to introduce our two panelists. We have Anita Chawla and Christina Sebring, and if you guys would like to introduce yourself, that would be great.
Hi, I'm Anita. I'm the Director of Open Scale Initiatives and work closely on the Master of Computer Science program, and we're very excited to be here with you today.
Thanks, Anita. And I'm Christina Sebring. I am the Academic Success Specialist Senior, which means academic advisor for the online Master of Computer Science program. Also oversee the admissions process. And then behind the scenes on chat today, you may also see Nicole Plachecki. She does a lot with the admissions and getting all those documents and applications to the committee. So she'll also be able to answer your questions in the chat. So for today, we're going to give an overview of the program. We're going to go over the admissions requirements, and we do have some very new, recent updates to share with you that haven't been announced publicly yet. So we're excited to share those. Go over what the application process looks like, and then get to some of your questions. And then just to reiterate what Diana said, please use the Q&A function at the bottom. It makes it so much easier for us to see your questions and answer them at the end so they don't get lost in chat. All right, so our program, the overview of the program, we classify our classes into three main areas: foundations, systems, and applications, and then we have a few that are electives. But we cover classes in cybersecurity, artificial intelligence. We have an elective course in blockchain, so a lot of courses in big data. So some very up-and-coming topics that are very popular and very current and relevant. And there's some really exciting real-world projects going on in these classes that our students are working through.
So that's a great point. So the projects are an important part of the learning experience. And these projects have been designed to be very application-based so that the skills you learn in these courses can be applied to the workforce arena. So for example, in our scalable data processing course, for example, we have a project on spatial hotspot analysis. And we use this kind of technology in Apache Spark SQL to talk about the special type of database query that is now supported by spatial means. Or, for example, we have a data visualization course, which is, again, a very timely course because data visualization is all about a form of visual communication. And so we use some fun projects like you're in an amusement park, and then we ask you to do some data analysis and visualization of some of the patterns that you see in the amusement park. Or if you're in the blockchain course, we introduce you to the concept of a public blockchain and then ask you to build a small component of a private blockchain on top of that. So you really understand the foundation of the principles behind that course.
Oh,
it's very exciting.
Yes, so very fun project. It is a project-based program, so projects are a very big component of the program.
Right.
So it's not a research-based program. So that's the core, I guess, learning outcome of all the classes.
Right.
So I guess going into the admissions requirements, which is a very important part of the program and where some of the new information is. Our program is 30 credit hours. We have three main areas, as we talked about, and 3 starts a year. We have one in August, one in January, and then our one that's coming up in 2 months is in May. So that's the most recent one. There's 10 classes, so you'll take 30 credits each. There's a culminating experience, which is the project portfolio. So those projects that you were talking about, Anita, at the end, they're going to choose 3 classes, and they'll submit a portfolio that focuses on 3 of those projects. And then they do have to maintain continuous enrollment, which just means you have to attend every fall and spring semester, but that's very flexible. So our classes are in 7.5-week sessions. So if they only want to take 1 class in the first 7.5 or 1 in the last 7.5, that's fine. Or maybe you can take 1 each session and then complete 5 courses a year. So it's a very flexible program, so you can modify it to fit your schedule. And then so our program cost is a total of $15,000. So it's $500 per credit hour, and then that's charged based on what classes are actually taken. So if you only take 1 class, it's $1,500. So it's a affordable, very affordable program. And ASU does have financial aid available. It is subject to availability, and eligibility is determined on an individual basis. So getting into the admissions requirements, we do have an update to share here. I know all the websites and everything still say 3.0, but our faculty just voted to reduce this to 3.0, which is a B average instead of the B plus average that we were previously requiring. And what we look at is the last 60 credit hours of an undergraduate degree or the last 2 years. And so I know I saw in the chat, we have some international students on the chat. So that like I said, is usually the last 2 years. That average is usually equivalent to, for students in India, like their first class, right around that range. One thing, when you're going through the admissions process, you do have to enter your GPA in the application. Please enter it as it appears on your transcripts. You don't have to convert it. We know not everyone uses the 4.0 scale, so please enter it as it appears. We will evaluate it based on the scale used in the country where the education took place.
So as an example, Christina, I have my undergraduate degree in computer science from India, and the grading system is very different. So when I would apply to a program, I would just put the actual marks or score that is on your mark sheet. And we know what that really means. We know that a 70% is a distinction. So just enter your marks as you see it on your mark sheet or transcript, and we will apply our knowledge of the program in your home country and make that equivalent to the GPA that we have here in the US.
And ASU has a lot of international students, so we have a wealth of knowledge and resources and a whole country book of scales that we can reference. So we do have a lot of resources to help our committee in evaluating those. We also have a math requirement, so we do require the equivalent 2 semesters of calculus, 1 and 2, as well as discrete math. But what's important to mention here is a lot of STEM students, which refers to students with degrees in science, technology, engineering, and math. Those students most likely have completed this math requirement during their undergraduate degree. So that is most likely there. The titles don't always match up, but the knowledge gained in these classes is likely there. And then the math, if you have never taken calculus, maybe if you're coming from a different degree program, that does still need to be completed before you do the application. So the math is a firm requirement that does need to be done. And then ASU does require official transcripts. You can apply with your unofficials, but they do need to be fully legible and have to be 1 document that's smaller than a megabyte. But you can apply with your unofficials and then send your officials later. That can be extremely helpful for students applying internationally when it's a little bit more challenging and takes more time to get those official transcripts here. So that gives you a little bit more time to work through that process. And then another update to share, we do require a personal statement or a resume. So you can upload your resume in lieu of a personal statement. So for some students who are currently working in the industry, that may be a helpful small change where you don't have to write a personal statement, but you are welcome to still write it. All it is a explanation of why you're interested in the program and what you hope to get out of it. And then there is an application fee. And it depends on if you're a U.S. or a resident student or an international student, what the fee is. One positive thing is there's no GRE or letters of recommendation, as a lot of graduate programs require, so you don't need to worry about that. So we don't require either of those. Moving on to prerequisites, this is another area where we just had an exciting change here. The faculty actually voted to change this slightly. So We now have a requirement of 4, so I will explain what that is. So we still require computer organization and assembly language programming and data structures and algorithms at the time of application. So those do need to be completed when you apply. Then we also require operating systems and then principles of programming languages or introduction to theoretical computer science. So either one of those is fine. Now you can be admitted with what we call like deficiency, or which is another word for missing prerequisites. If operating systems or the programming languages in theory still need to be completed, we can work with you on that. But again, the computer organization, assembly language, and data structures and algorithms must be completed at the time of application. Introduction to software engineering is no longer required. So that is no longer a required prerequisite course. And that will be updated very shortly on our website too, for reference, to get that updated. Now, if you're maybe coming from another field or you've been working in the industry for a long time, and maybe you've learned these topics, but not necessarily through formal coursework, you may want to take our online proficiency exam. So you can sign up for that. We do have the link up on the screen right now. Or you can mention it to your enrollment coach. They can help guide you on how to sign up for that. But you can go and take an online proficiency exam to prove or demonstrate your proficiency in these topic areas. So that's a good option. Did you want to have anything to add there?
I just want to mention about this proficiency exam that Christina was referring to. It's online.
Yes.
It can be taken from home, and it's about $46 to take the test. So definitely explore that option if you feel you're missing some prerequisites. And again, our whole goal is to reduce the number of barriers to show your prerequisite knowledge demonstration, because we do understand that many of you are working professionals in the IT industry, may not have had a formal computer science background, but still have good understanding of all these fundamentals. So this is why we give you this option.
Yeah, and they can, I mean, there's a lot of self-study options out there too, through open courses and things to self-study these topics and then pass the proficiency exam. We've had quite a few students enter the program through this path. So it's a good option for you. So for international students, there are a few additional requirements that you need to complete. You do have to demonstrate English proficiency, which you can take TOEFL, IELTS, or the Pearson Test of English. We can get the link maybe sent out through chat with the English proficiency requirements on the ASU website, because there's a lot of updates here that ASU has made. So for instance, if you're a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, then your English proficiency requirement is considered met. If you have a bachelor's degree from an English-speaking country, and there is a list out on that website that you can check the list and see if your country is on the list, then your English proficiency is considered met. Also, if you've completed 9 credits of graduate coursework with B's or better, your English proficiency is also considered met. So there, if you've taken, maybe you completed a few courses at another U.S. institution, then you shouldn't need to do this. Did you have anything to add for English proficiency?
No, this is very exciting. Okay. So definitely check out our website, and if you have questions and are unsure, definitely reach out to our enrollment team who can assist you through the process.
Yes, we have a fabulous enrollment team.
And at the end of this presentation, we will give you their contact information, and you could chat, email, or call them if you're in the U.S.
And they can help guide you through the process. Now, if you are in the U.S. And you are on a visa, the graduate admissions will need that documentation, so you can send that to graduate admissions at gograd@asu.edu. Now, if you are an international and you're not planning to come to the U.S., that's fine. But when you're working through the application, you want to select the JN visa status, which just means international, not coming to the U.S., and that'll help get that application through. If you select any of the other ones, it can get stuck in the process because they're looking for additional information. So if you're not planning to come to the U.S., definitely make sure you select that JN designation. And now there are multiple ways to get your transcripts here. There is a parchment feed available, and some other options available through like ministries of education and things like that, which the enrollment team can definitely guide you through. We also have a really well-developed FAQ document on our website that lists out the options and details.
And especially if you have your degrees, let's say from a country like India, I have my mark sheets, but it's very hard for me to get transcripts. There are options of parchment feeds on our website. You can visit their website and request your transcripts in that mechanism. It does take a little bit of time, but as Christina said, you could still submit your unofficials to get an admission decision, but we do, if you're admitted and you decide to start at ASU, we do need your official transcripts. Is it by the end of the first semester, Christina?
Yeah, it's brand new that they're allowing this. So they do put a reminder up on your account, and they basically want them as soon as possible. So it's first semester, I would say target the first semester just to be sure to get that in. So we do have what we call a pathway option available. So for students who maybe know your GPA isn't at that 3.0 mark, which definitely happens. We have quite a few students pursuing this option right now. This option's available for you. Or maybe if you're working on some of those prerequisite courses I covered in the previous slide and you want to get a little jump start, or maybe even just try out the grad classes to see if you like the format, if it works with your schedule, we have a pathway option available to you. So what it is, one of the benefits of it is it allows you to demonstrate a graduate GPA and prove that you can be successful in graduate level classes. So you can take up to 4, but at least 3 classes, 9 credit hours, and earn at least a 3.25 GPA in our classes, which is a B+ average. And now once you demonstrate your proficiency in these classes, then that establishes a new graduate GPA and then can help you basically earn your way towards meeting that GPA requirement. And this is something that we're hoping to expand in fall 2019 and add additional options and additional pathways, if you would, into the program. Yeah.
And what's different about ASU is that ASU is #1 in innovation, and we're trying to provide ways for learners to get access to the degrees that they've been working in their workforce but don't have formal degree background. So I have a colleague who has been in the IT industry for 15 years, but got a degree in something that was not STEM. And they're actually considering this pathway option because this is their way to get a formal degree in computer science to help them with their career advancement. I also had a colleague in the Valley talk to me about, they just got a job as a data scientist. And they were asking me, what are the options at ASU? So I said, well, we have some courses in the big data specialization. So for example, there's a data mining course that we're running right now. And data mining is really about the process of discerning patterns in large data sets. And so they only want to take a couple of classes there to help them in their current job role. So that could be the pathway option. But we've designed the pathway in such a way that if you've taken a few courses, you've demonstrated the GPA requirement, and you want to come to the degree, then the credits that you've taken on the pathway automatically apply to the degree.
Yes.
So if I take 3 courses in the MCS pathway, and then 6 months later I decide I want to do the remaining 7 and get a degree, that is an option for you through this mechanism.
Yes, absolutely. Would that be or better? They transfer right into the program. And also important to mention for international students, they can also maybe do the pathway and take the 9 credits to meet that English proficiency requirement if they get the B or better, because it's the 9 credits in graduate level coursework.
That's right.
So that's another pathway, if you will, for maybe our international students. So getting into the deadlines, so we do have an upcoming deadline of April 15th for our summer start. So classes start in summer on May 20th. So we do need those applications in by April 15th. So we're just a little over 2 weeks out from that. So if you're thinking about applying, definitely go ahead and get that application in so we can get it reviewed. Now that is our deadline. So the review process might extend a couple weeks after that. It usually takes us 2 to 3 weeks to work through applications. But everything that comes in by the deadline, you should have your decision by the end of April, or at least hear from us about maybe recommended next steps. So that's ETS or the pathway. So that you will hear from us either way to get some guidance on next steps. And the application is fully online. So you go on, the link is on the screen to get directly to our application. You submit the online application. If you have any extra materials you need to have sent, if you are sending English proficiency or transcripts, make sure you get those sent as soon as possible. And then it once it gets released. So it'll show your application status will show on your My ASU, which you get when you apply. And you can view what your status is, whether it's in review or progress or what the decision is. So as we mentioned, we have a fabulous enrollment team. So they can help answer any questions we don't get to today or anything that's unclear. Or if there's something specific to you that you want to talk to somebody one-on-one about, please reach out to our enrollment team. They do have a direct email, so mcsenrollment@asu.edu. And then they also have a toll-free number. That's 844-353-7953. We also have a really well built up online website with all this information, the FAQ document I mentioned, which can be extremely helpful. So you can get to that through links.asu.edu/MCS. And then of course you can apply now, which is the goal at the end, is that you'll go in and submit your application for us.
And I also want to add to what Christina said, the degree award at the end of the 30 credits is a Master of Computer Science. We don't designate the modality because the program is the same program that we offer on ground. It's the same courses, same syllabi, same faculty. We've just structured the project slightly different. We've made the projects a little more applied in the online version, but we did want to highlight the fact that it is the same program, but again, in a mechanism to be able to offer this program to you, we embarked on this journey of providing this course online with our same faculty.
And this partnership with Coursera is great because it allows us to offer that same rigor that our on-campus students experience at scale and globally. So it's a fabulous platform and a good partnership. But I guess we want to get to some of your questions because we can see them coming in, so we want to get to as many questions as we can. Just to kick it off, if you want to, in case there's any you need to add to the Q&A after listening to the presentation, we do have some frequently asked ones. A common question is, what if I do not meet the math requirements? I did want to reiterate here for students coming from STEM degrees, so science, technology, engineering, and math, you have likely met this in your undergraduate degree, even if those course titles aren't matching up. For others, if you're not coming from one of those degree programs, the recommendation would be to go take Calculus 1 and 2 and Discrete Math. If you're in the US, most community colleges offer that. ASU also offers it online, so that's another option for you. Are letters of recommendation required for the program? We do not require letters of recommendation. So you can submit them if you want. They're optional, but they are not required. And then how do you calculate international transcripts? I know Anita mentioned this before. So we do evaluate it based on the scale where the education took place. So that's very important. Just enter it as it is on your transcripts. And we do focus on those, that computer science prerequisite background. And looking at how well you performed for that GPA requirement. And yes, and again, it was recently reduced to a 3.0. So all that publicly available information will be updated soon to share that update with you. So a 3.0 or B average. So I guess, Diana, I think we're ready to start taking some of their questions.
That sounds great. Thank you so much. So one of the first questions I see is from Mohammed, and he's wondering that if he has received his bachelor's in the United States, is the English proficiency met? Like if you come from a non-English speaking country, but you get your bachelor's in the United States in English, does that qualify as?
Yeah, so if you have a bachelor's degree from the US, then the English proficiency is considered met. So he would not need English proficiency.
What if you work in an English-speaking company?
It's based on where the education took. I guess the only exception would be for US citizens and permanent residents currently working and residing in the US, but you would have to be a US citizen or permanent resident. But it is very much based on where the education took place.
Okay,
Hopefully
excellent.
that answers the question.
Yeah, and I think there may be other questions around this that get more nuanced. So if they show up, I'll keep asking them. So Surrender has asked that, so she or he is a working professional with more than 15 years experience in IT, but they don't have a CS undergraduate. What do you recommend for that person?
They do not have an undergraduate degree. Did I hear that correctly?
They have a non-computer science bachelor's.
They have a non-computer science undergrad. So again, if you have a GPA of 3.0 in your undergrad, and you also have the prerequisite knowledge, you could apply to the degree. We don't require you to have an engineering undergrad degree to be admitted to this program.
And it sounds like, yeah, you mentioned, I think you mentioned he has IT experience, so he might be a good candidate for that proficiency exam.
Exactly.
If he doesn't have the formal coursework to take that exam to demonstrate the proficiency he's gained through the work experience.
So I could have a 3.5 and an undergraduate degree in public policy, and I take the computer science proficiency exam, and I demonstrate mastery of those 4 fundamental areas that Christina outlined. I would be a good candidate for the degree program.
Great. Somebody has asked, will there be a recording sent about the webinar? And the answer to that is yes. And that will be sent out probably within, by the end of today. Another person has asked, how many of the students in the program are working full-time? And is this a good degree for someone working full-time?
Yes, I'd say the majority of my students are working full-time, a high majority. So they're working full-time. A lot of them have families, so they're taking one class at a time and working full-time and balancing all that. So the structure of the class still of the program allows you to make good progress attending part-time, one class at a time. You can still complete 5 courses a year and complete a master's degree in 2
years,
which is I mean, that's a very average pace for a master's degree, so it's very doable if you're working full-time.
And depending on your work commitments, let's say you take a class in the first session starting in August, you complete the class at the end of September, and then you find out in October you have a crazy deadline at work, you can skip enrolling in a class from October to November and then start back in January.
And then just so I'm making sure it's super clear that because there's kind of 2 sessions in fall and 2 sessions in the spring, you just have to take one of the fall and one of the spring to be considered continuously enrolled, correct?
Yes.
Great. So another question somebody has is, what's the benefits of doing an online degree versus doing just a series of MOOCs or open courses?
Can I take that question?
You can take that if you'd like.
So there's benefits to both, but I do think that employers do value degrees and credit for courses that are taken. The MOOCs do offer you the quick specializations in a particular area, but if you're looking for a broad spectrum of upskilling in various disciplines of computer science, then the degree is a better option for you. So it's a personal choice depending on where you are and what your needs are. But you could also take some of our online open courses, the MOOCs, and if you like the content, then you can decide to enroll in for the degree. So that option is also available on Coursera.
I think that's a great point. So we have a question that I think is really interesting. It's kind of ASU specific, and it's from Samir. And he said, is it possible to get enrolled with a BA in software engineering from ASU? Which I think is yes. And is this part of the accelerated program? And is it possible to get costs covered with the partnership with Starbucks? So this is a very specific question.
So I think they're referring to the Starbucks College Achievement Program. Depending on your benefits eligibility with your employer, that is Starbucks, and I'm assuming you're employed at Starbucks, an ASU degree program, but it has to be online, so this is MCS Online, could potentially be an option. So I would encourage you to contact your employer, and you can reach out to the same MCS enrollment team and they can help you with that. But it really depends on your benefits eligibility with your employer.
And also, lots of employers do tuition reimbursement for getting a master's degree. So I think for anyone who's employed, it's a great opportunity to talk to your employer, talk to your manager, see how much of your costs can be paid that way. We definitely see that across all of the degrees on the Coursera platform.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
So
somebody has asked about GRE and TOEFL scores. So I know you guys talked about it, but let's do it one more time. Like, do you have to have a GRE or do you have to have a TOEFL?
You do not need a GRE for this program, so GRE is not required. If the TOEFL is required, it's not required. Let's talk about who it's not required for. That might be easier. It's not required for U.S. residents, U.S. citizens, or permanent residents living in the U.S. or if you've taken 9 credits of graduate level coursework and gotten that B or better. And there's a few countries who are considered English-speaking countries that it's not required, and that's posted online through the grad admissions website. So those are who it's not required for. But if you're not in one of those categories, then yes, the English proficiency would be required.
And again, if Nicole could chat in the link for the English proficiency requirements, that would greatly help as well.
Yeah.
Great. So Matt has a good question, which is, if you do need to do some of the prerequisites, can you take those through a MOOC, or do you have to complete them through like in-person college or university?
So the MOOCs are a great way to self-study and then take the proficiency exam. So that's one way that you can use MOOCs, and there's actually a list we recommend for any students that we're recommending to take the proficiency exam. So we do recommend it for that. But it's not a one-to-one equivalency to waive the prerequisites. So I mean, we are hoping to have additional options available in the future to allow less barriers, as Anita said, for the program. So those hopefully are coming in the very near future. So there should be additional options available, but you can certainly take them at local schools as well if you have one locally. That's also an option.
Or you could take the English proficiency exam as well.
Yes, the proficiency test. Yes,
that's another option as well.
That's great. Okay, so Vince has a question, is this program completely online, or do I need to go to local testing centers at some point?
The program is completely online, and if there's an exam, like a midterm or a final in the course, it's proctored online, so you don't have to go into a local testing center.
That's great. There's so many great questions here. The next question from Sajmal is, does this master's help me pursue a PhD?
Do you want me to take that one?
Yes.
Okay. So this master's is a project-based, so it's a non-research-based program. So it doesn't give you the research experience for a PhD. But that said, you can absolutely still pursue a PhD because you can actually, here you can go right into a PhD after your bachelor's. So a master's, basically, most, like our programs here at ASU, you can use the 30 credits from a master's towards a PhD. So up to 30 credits, I should say. So it can give you a really nice jumpstart, if you will, towards that coursework that's going to be required as part of a PhD program. So the only thing that it won't prepare you for is the research component of a PhD. But as far as courses, it can give you a really great computer science foundation and get you some really good experience that computer science graduate level coursework. Hopefully that answers the question.
No, I think that's a great answer. And then Yasha has a good question. Are ASU career services available to participants of this program as well?
Yes, it is. And there's ASU career services, and Fulton Engineering actually has its own career services that is also available to students. So there's 2 different career services offices that our students have access to.
Excellent. And then Kemal has a really interesting question. So it's a little complicated, but basically the question is, are courses available at any period? Meaning that if you say enroll in the summer, are all the classes available to be chosen for the summer semester and the fall semester? Or are there some courses that are only, like, do they rotate? Do you know what I mean? So that, like, if you start, you maybe don't have all the choices right away.
That's correct. We offer a subset of the courses every session, depending on our faculty availability. So we do have a schedule that's published online that you can look at and decide which courses are available that session that are of interest to you.
And then when you're looking at that kind of subset of classes, are there caps to them? Like, can you make it where you can't enroll just because there's too many people enrolled at the same time, kind of like on campus, or is there additional capacity?
There is additional capacity.
That's what's great about the online program, because it allows us to offer it to a large amount of people at the same time. So it's not the same as an on-campus classroom where the room only holds 80 seats and that's it. So the capacity is flexible.
Excellent. Leo has asked, does this program require an engineering bachelor's degree? You've already answered it. The answer is no. You can have any bachelor's degree as long as you have the prerequisites or pass the tests, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And then Michael has a great question. So can a previous graduate degree supersede the undergraduate degree GPA? This person in particular has an MBA.
That's an excellent question. So yes, we would consider that graduate GPA. So if, the undergraduate degree, maybe a little bumpy, maybe not as high, but that, that your MBA meets that GPA criteria, we will take that into consideration. And that's also speaks a little bit to our pathway too. So for students who don't have, another graduate degree or master's degree, they can take a few of these classes, and then that will, again, help supersede that undergraduate degree.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, there are two people actually that have that same situation, Michael as well as Yasha. So that's very cool that if you have a graduate degree that it supersedes. James is asking, saying, is this can you do this part-time versus?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And typically, we recommend that you enroll in only one course per session. And depending on, I would say on an average, with the projects and the lectures and the assessments, and sometimes you'll have group forum discussions as well. On an average, I would plan for 12 to 15 hours a week.
Excellent.
So we find that there's a lot of learning activity happening over the weekends because, again, since this program is mainly with people working full-time, and I also find that because of that, the experience that they all bring into the discussion forums is very interesting.
Great. So Jeff has a great question. So he's from Canada, right? And he's saying, do I still need to take the TOEFL exam?
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, so there's a set of countries, right, that outside of the United States. And is that list available somewhere?
Yes, that's out on it's actually on our graduate admissions website.
And I think Nicole just sent the link out as well.
In the chat.
Great. And there's are there 10 countries around the world or something that qualify?
I think there's more than that on the list.
I think, it's past 17. So we just expanded the list.
Oh, great.
To countries like South Africa, Australia. There's a bunch of countries on that list. So we would definitely encourage you to check that. But again, if you're not sure, definitely contact our enrollment services team. They can help you through that process.
Excellent. So James just wanted a little bit more color and context around the deficiencies since he doesn't have the CS background. So how do you make up those deficiencies? It sounds like there's a couple different ways.
So the primary way right now that students are utilizing is the proficiency exam, especially, they're self-studying or perhaps it's learned through professional experience, the knowledge in those areas. So a lot of students are using the proficiency exam. And that is an area we are hoping to expand in the future, but for the summer admission, the proficiency exam is the best way to complete those classes and learn that material. Hopefully that answers his question.
I think so. And then I know people had been asking about doing it part-time, but what if you wanted to kind of accelerate it? Somebody's asking if I take 2 courses each term from summer now through spring B, right, in the next year, could you finish it in a year?
You can.
Yes.
I hope you're not working full-time if you decide to do that. But
yeah, because that really would be like kind of 30 hours a week of studying almost, right? Because you were saying it's kind of 10 to 15.
Correct.
So, yeah. And then if somebody did want to accelerate it in the year, because only a subsegment of a subset of classes are available each term, you will be able to pick the courses. Like you can complete the full coursework in 1 year because that availability will be there, correct?
Yes, we have new classes launching every semester, so more and more classes are becoming available as time goes on, and then the courses that have already launched are repeated. So yes, so there will be enough classes available to complete this in a year.
Perfect. Somebody looks like they live locally, and they're wondering if they could ever attend office hours on campus if they are local.
Yes, I mean, it would be up to the professor checking when they're available. So not all the professors usually have, set times they attend. So yeah, if you're local, that's definitely an option for you.
Perfect. And then somebody, were you going to add to that?
I was going to say they're not limited as online students.
Perfect. Somebody was saying that research is very important to them. This is not a research. This is a project-based degree, not a research-based degree, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And so Vince is asking where can he find a list of the specializations and subjects, because he heard at the beginning about the data science and big data topics, but he's wondering about the other specialties and kind of concentrations. Where could he find that?
So that's on our website. If Nicole can chat the link. But on our ASU MCS page, we have the different courses. We even have syllabi posted for the courses that have run. And we also have them bucketed by different specializations.
Cool. Patrick has a great question. So this one is a question on project work. Usually, how big are the project groups, and is it mandatory to work together as a group, or is it possible to work on solo projects?
So the project groups are typically, they're grouped by area of location, because we want people to be in the same time zone as much as possible. A typical size is 4 to 5. The way the projects work is you could still work on your pieces solo, but we do encourage a little bit of that group collaboration. So we would have at least one project that's a group-based thing, whether it's a discussion forum or a group-based project, but everything's done online. When you're enrolled in this program, you do have access to Slack, and so you can work with your project team through Slack. So again, the hours are decided completely by your group, and there's a very small component that collaboration would be required. And we find that the learning experience is definitely enhanced through this mechanism.
Great. Ryan is wondering if you can do a personal statement and a resume versus one or the other, and if not, is there one preferred over the other?
You can upload both. So through the application, it will give you the option to upload both. So you have to upload something in the personal statement section of the application that can be a resume. But if you're doing both, then go ahead and upload your personal statement in the personal statement section, and then the resume you can upload later in the optional section.
Excellent. Okay, so Anne May has a question, and we've talked a little bit about this, but I think it's confusing to people. So if you're going to be, the admission requirement for the proficiency exam and the admission requirement for the MCS pathway, they are two different paths, right? Because you could take the proficiency exam, enroll, and get admitted, but the pathway, you actually have to take the courses and pass those to get admitted. Do you want to kind of show some color around that?
So they're asking, can you take the MCS pathway in lieu of the proficiency exam?
Oh, so yeah. Not this time the way the pathway is currently structured. So there are two separate requirements. So the proficiency exam is used to show the proficiency in those prerequisite areas, so that fulfills that requirement. The pathway with its current structure is used to help if your GPA doesn't meet the minimum requirement. So then you can take the 3 classes and establish a high graduate GPA to help compensate for a lower undergraduate GPA. So they are they have two separate purposes.
Two separate purposes. Okay. Do you want to repeat that one more time, just because I feel like people kind of keep asking about it? So.
Yes. So, okay. So the online proficiency exam is for the prerequisite courses. So we were, and I can repeat those because that was a little while ago at this point. So we do require computer organization and assembly language programming and data structures and algorithms at the time of application. So those must be complete. But students also need to have a course in operating systems and then a course in either principles of programming languages, which is an advanced, usually a 3rd-year programming class, or a class in theoretical computer science. On some international transcripts, we see this as formal languages, things like that. Compilers can be the programming languages. So those are other common titles we see for those 2 classes. So those are the prerequisite courses we're referring to. If you don't have formal coursework and you believe you've learned that through self-study or professional experience, you can take the online proficiency exam to demonstrate that you do have knowledge in those areas. Now, a separate option is the pathway. So maybe you have a computer science degree, or even if you don't, but your GPA is, maybe it's a 2.89. Then you can come into the pathway. All you need to have is an undergraduate degree to do the pathway, and you can take 3 classes and earn at least a 3.25 GPA to demonstrate that you can do well in graduate level coursework and help compensate that undergraduate degree.
And I also want to emphasize it's a 4-year undergraduate degree.
Yes, that is important.
Not 3 years. I know a lot of international countries offer 3 years. we do require 4 years of undergraduate degree to be admitted to this program.
Yes, very important point, Anita. Thank you.
So if somebody does have a 3-year undergraduate degree, how do they then qualify? What do they need to do?
Usually they need to take another year of coursework. And so I know on some international students, they've done like a year of graduate level work, but there does have to be an equivalent to another year of coursework taken after the undergraduate degree.
So if you have a 3-year undergraduate degree and you have a master's degree, that qualifies as 4 years of undergraduate study. And we see a lot of applicants with that background.
Yeah. And then if you have a 3-year undergraduate and you take some of the performance pathway classes, that doesn't count though, right? You would, or would it count?
No, because you have to have the 4-year undergraduate
First
to qualify for the pathway.
Okay. Richard was wondering how many students have graduated from this program.
Oh, it's new. It just launched in August 2018.
19. Oh, 18.
Yes, last August. But we will actually have our first graduate this summer. It's a student who did transfer from on campus. But we will have our first graduate this summer, and then more will follow in the fall. So it is our first graduating cohort in 2019.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. We're like, what year is it? Somebody is asking, are the classes live, pre-recorded, or both?
So the lectures are actually recorded. Everything can be done depending on the hours that are convenient to you. So everything is pre-available, and you can go back to the lectures and listen to them again if you need to. So very much designated for a person who's working full-time.
But they do have live events.
They do have live office hours and
yes,
live events, that's correct.
And those seem to be very popular with students logging in to interact live with course facilitators and TAs. So, yes.
And we also post the recordings of the live events in the course. So if you can't attend it in person, you still have an opportunity to watch it.
Yes, those events are optional. I don't know that I said they were optional. So.
That's excellent. Okay. Somebody has asked if any completed Coursera work can count towards degree credits to this degree.
So if you take the open courses that ASU provides on Coursera, some of that content is already in the degree course. So if you take the open course and let's say you do a couple of things in those open courses, and then when you're enrolled in the degree course, those same items are available, it will show up as completed. So you don't have to repeat that work again. So that's the only way that we apply progress of open courses to degree courses.
Okay. So this is a specific question, and I think, Anita, you might be able to answer it the best. This is from Diraj, and he says, I'm a standard 12 learning in India. I don't know if that means anything to you.
Yes, it does.
Okay. And what would be the best course for him at ASU, because he's coming from a math and computer branch?
So Diana, can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, he's saying he's a standard 12 learning in India, and what would be the best course for him to get into ASU, because he's coming from a math background?
So standard 12 means he's currently enrolled in high school.
Oh.
And he could take some of our courses in the big data area. I think that would be of great interest, and would also test his computer fundamental knowledge for himself, and will help him ensure that this is a program that he is interested in before he decides to apply. But he still has a long way to go. He has to still get his undergraduate degree before he can apply to us for the master's program.
Perfect. Yasha is asking about the career services. Again, if you want to use the career services, do you have to go to ASU, or can you access it online?
You mean like physically go to ASU?
You have to come down to campus.
Yeah, so there's a lot of information available online, a lot of resources. They have optimal resume, they can do mock interviews, all that is done online. So you can set up, phone appointments and things like that. So they don't have to physically come here, and there's a lot of resources available online through the website.
Perfect. And then Samir has asked another question saying he's just confirming this is a pay-as-you-go, or is it pay-as-you-go, or do you need to provide the whole tuition up front?
You only pay for the course you're currently enrolled in. And so I know in international countries, when you enroll in programs, they ask you for the whole tuition up front. We don't do that. We just ask for tuition payments for the courses that you're currently enrolled in to make it easier to afford. And also, if you're looking at loan opportunities, this is an easier payment mechanism for you.
Perfect. Now we only have about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to kind of keep going, and I'll try maybe go a little faster. So if somebody has a master's, do they need to submit their undergraduate transcripts?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So we actually ask for transcripts from all institutions attended. So that helps us better and fully evaluate the application. So all applications attended, all institutions attended, excuse me.
Great. And then as an ASU alum, do you get all the alum privileges and degree certificates and transcripts, everything? Like you just look like an ASU alum?
Yes.
Yes, so the NCS program is an ASU program, and you will be part of the ASU community. We have a very, very large ASU alum network. I am one of them, very proud to be a Sun Devil. So, and you'll also get notifications about our continuing education programs, because we look at learning as a lifelong thing. So even though you would get your degree with us, you would still have options to continually upskill. And so you will definitely be part of that network.
So cool. Samug wants to confirm that the word online will not be mentioned on the degree certificate.
That's correct.
Okay. And then somebody else has asked, is it possible to transfer from online to on campus if you want to, say like in a year or so?
Yes, but it does require a new application because it's a campus change, and the online requirements are more competitive because, as we mentioned, there is some capacity challenges, and online gets thousands of applications a year. So it does require a new application. On campus does require the GRE and letters of recommendation as well.
One of the distinctions I want to make with the online program is that we don't issue student visas for this program. But as Christina just alluded to, if you're applying to the on-ground campus, it invokes a different set of requirements, including the visa requirements,
visa process.
Which is why we require a separate application for the on-ground program.
Excellent. Okay, I think this will be our last question, and it's, I think, a really good one. And it's somebody who's actually already applied or started an application, and they actually aren't sure if they qualify. What should they do?
My recommendation is to finish the application and submit and have it evaluated, and then we will reach out to you and let you know. You know, if it's concerned about GPA, we might recommend the pathway, or if the prerequisite requirements aren't met, then we would direct you toward the proficiency exam. So the best thing to do is to get that application in and get it evaluated.
That sounds great. So why don't you guys wrap up, because we went through all the questions.
Oh, wonderful. So, well, we want to thank everybody for attending and spending your morning, afternoon, or evening with us. Again, if there's any questions we didn't get to, you didn't want to ask in the public forum, or, you know, it's specific to you, please reach out to our enrollment team. They are there to help. So again, their contact information has been on the screen and will be sent out. Diana will make sure that gets sent out as well with all of our contact information. But please reach out to us and please get that application in. Yes.
And definitely check us out on our generic websites, ASU's #1 in innovation. We have a large portfolio of online degrees with different rankings and different awards. So definitely check us out. We're very proud to offer this program to you, and we really hope to see you here as a Sun Devil.
Excellent. Well, have a great day, everybody. Goodbye now.
Bye.